It's time to get back onto this piece, finally. I have some more 1075 and 15 and 20 to use, so I have to make another Damascus billet. But I think I'm just gonna go with straight layers rather than twisting and whatnot. I kind of have an idea of what I want to do with this. I need to do a little bit of fixing where it's way in the spots that this is too thin. I don't know how to fix it, but where it's thicker than that, especially down this end, I can hopefully make that a bit thinner and even out the whole thing. Also this way you can see it's taller here than it is here, so I'm gonna squash that down a little bit. But I'm running out of time already. It's 1:30 p.m. It's a nice day. It's like 27 degrees or something, but the next few are 39, 40 degrees or something like that. So we're in for a few hot days when I can't fire up the forge. I don't think legally I'm allowed to, because there'll be total fire ban days, and I don't really know the rules about things like gas fires and whatnot. Yeah, whatever. It's been a long day. So I'm gonna start working on the piece of Damascus first, get that over and done with, or at least get that started, because it's a several stage thing. I have to heat it up, forge weld it together, cut it and restack it and all of that. So while it's cooling off before I can cut it, I'll probably start working on this piece. Alright, so here we have our 15 and 20, which I've previously marked with red. And here's my 1075, which I'm going to mark with black. Doesn't need to be 3 lines, I just did. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 layers. I'm starting with 1075 and finishing with 15 and 20. That way when I cut them down the middle and restack them, the 1075 will go on top of the 15 and 20, thereby continuing the alternating pattern. And this is officially the last of the 1075 and 15 and 20 I have, because yet again, the only 2 places I know of where I can get this doesn't have a thickness appropriate for what I am doing. They're all like 5mm plus. And really I want sub 2mm, and these are all 2.5s, so yay. Now it's time to weld these together and put a handle on them. Here's my 3 pieces. Notice I'm learning. Hot things are hot. Don't grab them with your bare hands. So I've got my 2 stacks ready to be forge welded into a billet. And then I have the already forged piece from weeks ago. I've cut the end off. That was disgusting. Yeah, just to tidy that up to reduce the risk of any inclusions making its way further down the billet. Alright, now that I've got those 3 things done, it's time to fire up the forge. So I did my first billet, it's forged together. I think it did do this weird thing. So I had a small amount of delamination at the top, but I fixed that. But then I noticed a bubble forming right in here where I forged welded the outside of the billet. So forged around the edges, trapping some air on the inside, and it caused a bubble. So I ground down a point on a piece of steel and poked it through, put some borax in there, reheated it, and I don't know. I don't know if it's forged together there or not. We may have some issues that need to be ground out. Then the second billet went flawlessly. I still find it really hard to draw it out. All the professionals and the other YouTubers and all that, they make it look so easy. It's hard. Or maybe I'm just doing it wrong. And then also I worked on the original 3 stack of twisted Damascus to draw it out. I evened out the thickness considerably, but it's still not great. And this way it's far more consistent as well. It's more consistent, which was the key thing here. That took 3 hours to achieve that. I guess I'll be back in a few days once the heat wave's over. It's been about 2 weeks since that last clip. We got smashed by heat a little bit, and on the days that were of an okay temperature to work in, I was busy, and I haven't had time to get out here and get back to forging like I'd like to. But today is the first sub 30 degree day. It's 29. So I'm out here and I'm going to try and get as much of this done as I possibly can with the forge today, because the temperatures go back up again tomorrow. Can't seem to catch a break. It makes it hard to do some forging. The other day I did have 10-20 minutes spare on a cooler day, so I've saved you guys the hassle of having to watch me grind away, or the scale. I've gone ahead and cut the billets in half and ground down some surfaces for me to join together. And now I've saved you the hassle of watching me tack weld this together. So this is prepped, ready to go. The other one, because I didn't flatten it very well, I can't weld the end together, so I just welded it down here with the handle, and then I'll reshape it after it's forging temp, at forging temp. So the next time you see me, these two things will already be forge welded together, and I'll be messing around just trying to get them into the shape that I want. This is a little bit frustrating. My handle has yet again snapped off. The reason being, I think the reason for that is because the welding rods that I'm using to stick the handle onto it, and the handle itself is mild steel, so that's mild steel, whereas this is carbon steel. So when you weld it with a mild steel electrode, it doesn't bond to the carbon steel correctly. I guess it's a bit like using glue. It'll hold it together, but the two pieces don't actually become one homogeneous piece, as if you were welding mild steel onto mild steel. So you heat it up, you get the carbon steel hot, which then heats the weld up, and the pieces just eventually separate. And I think that's what it is. I could be wrong, but it's a hunch. don't know if you can see it. There's a mark just here, which is how long I wanted to get this piece. But from here to that mark is what I wanted. There's just no way. I'm knackered. Also, this is getting to the maximum length that my forge can handle. I mean, I could probably fuss around with it a bit more, but whatever. So I did want it significantly longer. So when I fused these two together, I wanted this to be way back here. I don't think it's gonna happen. The handle here is, my weld is starting to break. I can't be bothered doing it again. What do I do? Oh, that's hot. I'm being a little bit lazy, which always comes back to bite me. I gotta think about this. I should just do it properly. So the aim now is just to keep drawing this out as long as possible, really. Another night has passed, so this is what I ended up achieving. This is probably my most successful draw out that I've had, considering it started off as a piece that long. It's ugly though, but that's gonna happen when you're still learning and still practicing. It ain't gonna be pretty. I drew this a bit thinner here than back here in the hopes of using this as the tang. I might have done it wrong. What I wanted to do was join it together like this, but I have really bad inclusions here. So I'm thinking, because I cut this end off and kept that nice and clean, I may flip it around. That way these inclusions will just line up with these ones, and I can, and this is the front of the knife, can just cut this whole lot off. And actually the thickness works out better that way too. It's thicker down this end than it is up here, and it's thicker at this top end than it is down here. So by mounting it that way, it actually works better. So now all I have to do is clean off the surfaces that I want to forge weld together. Then I might just cut the handle off here, keep this handle attached. Then I can heat up this end without worrying about this dicky piece on the end. Yeah, so clean the surfaces, cut the handle off, tack weld it just at this end, not down here, as to avoid more inclusions. This piece, I ground off this area, and I smoothed off the transition to the tang a little bit. I've ground the top of this, taken the handle off, and I rounded off the edge in the hopes that I can forge weld it together like that. I feel it will get a better bond. So now, give it a tack weld at this end. And just like that, it's tacked. It did move, which isn't awesome because I can't tell how well it's lined up anymore. So now it's make or break time. This is where it either all comes together or I just completely mess it up. I always seem to have these moments in my projects. So I guess the next step is fire up the forge, get this hot, and just close this up a little bit, not try and forge weld it, just press it together slightly, chuck some borax in there, and then get it nice and hot and forge weld it together. So there's a little bit of good and a little bit of bad. The good is that I've got a good forge down here, I believe. The bad, I've got some separation here, and through trying to force it together, I've thinned out this piece here. That might be pretty bad news. It might be pretty bad news indeed. But for now, I think that's where I'm going to leave it, with a mess. And I'm going to think about how I can either work around this, how I can fix this, or whether I need to cut it off and make another long piece with this remaining piece that I haven't worked on yet, which I'm not entirely against, but it's a lot more work. So until the next one, bye.